Hello, hello. Welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is Jasmine. I am your host yet again, and I am here with Christina Amini, Executive Publishing Director of Chronicle Books we all know and love. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Yeah, how's 99U been for you?
It's such a lovely audience. I've really enjoyed it, and some awesome speakers.
Yeah,
too.
is it your first time?
It is my first time.
Yeah, same. And it's really calm. Like, I like that the pace is kind of up to you, what you make of the experience, and there's not a lot of pressure to be in all places at once.
Yeah, it feels like there's enough time between things, and there's just maybe it's because it's kind of, I think 1,100 people are at this conference.
I know, you can't even really tell.
But it feels like actually kind of an intimate conference.
Yeah, I've had that same feeling. Like, even being kind of out here in front of the cameras, and we see people come in, but it just seems really lax. Like, everybody's just kind of hanging out and mingling. So it's been good. And again, we are live from New York, 99U, Stay 2. So yeah, let's get into it, right?
All right, let's do this.
So, Executive Director at Chronicle Books. Everybody knows Chronicle Books, even if they're not from San Francisco. The branding's it's awesome. So tell us a little bit about how you got there and your kind of your little experience getting up to that level.
Yeah. Okay, so I graduated from college. And
standard. There we go.
Is this where you wanted me to start? Well, anyways, I'm going to. So, graduated with a bunch of friends. We didn't know what we wanted to do when we grew up, but we knew we wanted to live together. So we moved to New York City without jobs. And
brave.
Or a little bit naive, but
that's kind of like every New York story.
And this is also kind of a New York story. It was my roommate's, brother's ex-girlfriend knew someone who knew someone at HarperCollins. And that was my first publishing job.
Wow.
So I worked it was then called the Internet Development Group, which makes me feel like I was 100 years old, because we weren't actually developing the internet, but we were creating HarperCollins' first website, really, and putting together their digital content. And so there I got my start in publishing. And what was cool was I knew I loved books, and that's what got me into publishing. But the thing I didn't know was that publishing is actually about loving the business of making books. And those are kind of different things.
Yeah, this is a little confusing.
And good news, I like both.
Good.
So that's good.
Of course you do.
I'm from San Francisco, and I have 5 sisters, and they're all in the Bay Area.
Wow.
And so I was I love New York too. I love New York. But so I moved back to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And then when I moved back to San Francisco, I was like, okay, where else? What can I do? And so I was in one of those phases where I was interning. I started as an intern at Chronicle Books.
Okay. And what were you doing as an intern there?
I was an editorial intern. So editorial is kind of hard. Even though I had been a marketing manager before, I needed to start off, as an editorial intern. So they hired me, and I was working on gift projects. And I didn't even know that was really a thing that you could do. So gift projects are like these kind of. Where should I?
Ooh. Oh. Yeah, we can show on the GoPro.
Yeah, show those things. So you got that.
Your ideas are priceless. The stick of butter. Oh my gosh. So this thing is famous because every time I see it, I attempt to unwrap it.
Oh, totally.
It's so good.
The designer, her husband, we did a chocolate bar, and she kept bringing it home to prototype it, and he kept unwrapping it to try.
It just feels so real.
So. Okay, so I didn't know that this kind of publishing, this kind of merch stuff existed. Here's some other examples.
Cool.
That you could actually make those kind of things. So I worked we had a gift division at that time.
Okay.
And I worked in gift for a while. But then my wife went to Rhode Island School of Design. So I took a break from Chronicle, and I had my own book that was coming out.
Oh, wow.
It was called Before the Mortgage.
Before the Mortgage.
It was not actually about mortgages. It was about the time in life post-college, but pre-picket fence, when all that weirdness is happening to you.
That's amazing. I need to read that. I feel like a lot of people would benefit from that book.
And so then, let's see here. Then we lived in Providence, Rhode Island, where Rhode Island School of Design is, and then came back to the Bay Area. And I worked at Dwell Magazine, and then Chronicle Books asked me to come back. And so I was like, you know what, I love Chronicle. So now I've been back at Chronicle.
Right.
And have been there.
You left Rhode Island.
Yeah, drove cross country. We got a tiny baby pug.
Oh, what's Pug's name?
Georgie.
Georgie.
After Georges Pompidou. Anyway, so then we drove cross country with our baby pug, and then I worked at Chronicle Books, or Dwell first, and then Chronicle Books.
Okay.
And now I've been back for about, 12 years. So in total, I feel like this doesn't, I don't know, not that many people have a job that they love for that long.
Yeah.
And so been in total at Chronicle about 16 years.
Wow. And it was almost like fate because, I mean, you tried it, you went there for your first internship, and you're like, okay, this is cool, I'm going to try something else, and then you just ended up being drawn back to it.
I kept being drawn back, because like, it's important to try other things.
Yeah.
And the book that I did was published with another publishing house, with Simon & Schuster, so I got a taste of what that was like.
Okay.
And then, but Chronicle really suits me in terms of the range of projects that we work on. Both in subject category, but then also in production and design. And so I started, when I came back to Chronicle, I was initially the sex editor at Chronicle Books.
I didn't even know they had that as like a category.
We had like, it was sort of like humor sex, so it was like Position of the Day was one.
Oh
but then
my God,
I worked with Susie Bright on like some erotica thing. Anyway, so I worked in entertainment, and then I worked in art publishing.
Wow.
And this whole time I've been working on gift projects too. And so I started
aside from that, like
within Chronicle.
Okay,
like,
got it.
But we kind of had reorganized so that we have these publishing groups now.
Sweet.
And so anyway, like after 12 years of being there, I'm now the publishing director, or executive publishing director.
You can't forget that.
Of art, food, and lifestyle publishing.
Oh, what a combo.
Yeah, so it's really fun.
So do you manage all of those different departments that focus on those?
I directly manage the editors.
Okay.
But we have a team that's production, editorial, and design.
Right.
And we all work together in food and lifestyle, and then in art.
Awesome. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask this, but do you have a favorite?
No, you can't ask.
I just thought I'd try, guys. I tried. But the Chronicle people are like, don't say the wrong thing.
No, but it's fun. Each one has it's been fun to get to know both the different teams and the different things that we produce, because I'm so proud, and why I work there is because I'm proud of the things that I make. And I mean, if I had a reason for, what is my purpose, is to make good things with good people. And that's Chronicle allows me to do that.
Yeah. That's a good mindset to have. It's not just about like what your career goal is, but it's about the environment that you're in, and that's what kind of pushes you to foster that creativity, to move forward, to have growth. So I think that's super important to point out, especially. Do you talk about that in the book, the first book that you
Before
published?
the Mortgage book?
Yeah, like where you're kind of discovering that?
Let's see. It was a anthology of essays, so it was my friend and I, Rachel Hutton and I, and then we invited all of our favorite young writers to contribute.
Cool.
Then it was divided between home, work, love, and life, like roommate kind of life. So it was more about all the trials and tribulations that happened to you.
And I love that because it was the group of you, and that kind of inspired those stories.
Exactly.
That's cool.
I mean, relationships have been really important to me throughout my career, or life. I think I would go larger than that, that was what made me move. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I just knew I wanted to do it with my friends. And then, because we had all lived together in college. And then why I stay at Chronicle in part is because of all the wonderful people I work with, both at the company, and then all the people that it allows me to work with. It's kind of a vehicle to oh, there's a really talented person. I want to go work with Wendy McNaughton.
No, I love that. I'm sure that network is so broad now. Like, you can just go contact people from all over that you've worked with through Chronicle, and it's just like an extension of the Chronicle family.
Yeah, it's really nice. And I think I realize that more and more, being here. I'm like, oh, look, there's this person that I know, and I'm staying at the Ace Hotel, and then I looked up, and in my room is illustrations by Mike Perry, who I'd worked with and who did the illustrations for the Broad City intro. Anyway.
Love Broad City.
I know, you can just take a moment.
Yes, Broad City, we love you.
Yeah, exactly. We actually did a coloring book with Abby Jacobson.
Does that still exist? Can I
Yes,
buy it
you
today?
can buy it.
Is it,
yeah.
where is
it's
it?
I think San Francisco and New York coloring books. You can buy it wherever good books
Please
or gift
buy
products
it,
are sold.
and then we can all talk about our lovely illustrations from Broad City. Okay, so you want to focus.
Yes.
Go ahead. You wanted to focus on like power and practice,
Right.
and collaboration. So tell us about like where does that stem from? I'm sure it stems from a lot of your experiences and coming back to Chronicle and really feeling the love in terms of like producing work with your community for your community. But like, why do you want to focus and talk about that? What's the thing? Tell us.
Yes, totally. Well, I realized that in looking at my career, the last 20 years of working in publishing at HarperCollins, Readymade Magazine, and Chronicle Books, that what was really important to me was who I was working with and how we were working together. And that's been one of the things that's kind of been magic for me, is like, when something can come together because of the unique strengths of the team, and because Chronicle is so production and design forward, then because of that, it really requires that each person like bring their all to it.
Yeah.
And in maybe a slightly different way than some publishers. Some publishers are like, in a more text-based thing and a less visual book, there's like, okay, I do my job, I hand you the text, then you design it, then you do the production.
Right.
But in ours, we're like constantly like evolving of like, oh, okay, I just designed this gift box, but then if we do it this way, the copy's going to be different. But then if we do it, so it's like really requires this kind of communication. And I guess what I love about it is that it's beyond what any of us could have done on our own.
Yeah.
That it like is this way that it connects you to people, both in the actual process of making this thing, this actual physical object, and then in the way that this thing connects you with other people out in the world.
Right.
Can I tell you a story about one of those?
Yeah. I mean, we all want to hear stories, right? Tell us.
All right. So, for example, when I was the sex editor.
Okay.
So I met this guy at the Maker Fair in San Jose, and he was a pop-up engineer, and he was making children's books. And I was like, oh, that's awesome that you're making pop-up children's books, so you can maybe see where this is going.
Okay.
But I was like, oh, you know what we should do? We should make an adult pop-up book. And I really meant like adult.
Yes.
A sex pop-up book. And he was like, no, I don't want to do that. So we brought him in. He came in, and we were like, okay, but what do you want to make? What's the thing that's like, yes. So we talked about what he wanted to make was flowers.
Okay.
And so then we were like, well, what if we kind of flip the idea of what a pop-up book is? What if we, and this is all in conversation with the team, what if we make the book itself a centerpiece with the flowers?
Ooh, okay.
So then, let's set this up here.
Yeah.
So then we created this book together.
Get crafty right now, guys.
Ready?
Yes.
So this was the resulting.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah?
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, I love that.
So you can see all the different little centerpieces that we made.
Very cool.
That's my final one. Oh, here's the last one.
Oh, wow. This one's like a full garden. You got the birds of
We're,
paradise in there.
Making a real range of things. Oh, here's our lilacs.
Beautiful lilacs. This
And
is so cool.
so the thing about it was so, like, Chronicle had never done something like this before. But that's, I think, one thing that's unique and that I love about Chronicle is like this willingness and actually like engagement in trying new things. Of like, okay, we really haven't done an adult pop-up book. We haven't done a book it becomes a centerpiece. And so, there's like also a little bit of like, well, here we go. Let's just make it.
Yeah.
And usually when you're working on a project, you know what you're trying to make. And then you
you're trying
figure
to
out
execute accordingly.
But this way was a little backwards because we had to figure out what we could make and then figure out what we wanted to make.
I like that idea. I like the fact that you, even though you came to him and you knew he had like kind of like a niche already, but you automatically like challenged him. It was like, okay, we would want to do this, but if it's not your jam, like what would you want to make outside of what you already do? And so I think it's really interesting, and I think that's a really good approach for people approaching artists and trying to kind of bring them into like what they do as a business, but also highlight their personal style, all of those things. So I think that's an interesting approach the way you guys did that.
And it really required all the, I'm going like this because it's all the teammates, you know? So like he was the paper engineer. So he was figuring out how these things are going to fold every time. But then...
God, that's an art form.
Right? But then the designer applied color. But then the production person has to communicate with our printers in China about how to make this in a cost-effective way. Because it might be easy to make something, but then how do you make it that's in a reproducible and at a price that people will want to pay for it?
Price point.
So,
still beautiful.
You know, it required so many different rounds with the printer, but like we landed it. And so that, you know, and then it ended up we did 2 sequels after it.
Oh, wow. So were the sequels, were they all still flower arrangements, or did they expand into... We did birds and butterflies with flowers, and then we also did floral arrangements for all seasons. This book is called Paper Blossoms, and it's all of them for all seasons. And then the part that, like, in terms of what makes me, like, is meaningful about the work that I do is, like, so it's meaningful to work with an artist and then to come up with something that didn't exist before. Exactly.
And then beyond that, there's all these unexpected outcomes. So like for this project, we received a letter that was like one of the most meaningful letters I've ever gotten from a project, which was from this woman, Diane, and she had written a letter and said that her mom had been in hospice and she wasn't able to be there with her mom. Oh. But her sisters were able to be with her. And so every day, her mom and her, like living across the country, would have this book, and she would call her mom, and her mom would tell her what page it was on. So like, okay, I'm on the lilies. And so, and it was a way that people could interact in the, like nurses and visitors would talk with her about the different bouquet that she had each day. And then Diane told us that when her mother ended up passing, she wasn't able to be there. But she did know that it was on this page, the one with the lilies.
Oh my God.
And so that
That's
felt,
so special.
Right?
That's
like it was
special.
like this. I had no idea that would be the outcome, you know, like that creating something, allowing that I helped create something that provided connection to other people was so important to me.
And across the world, like across the country, that's truly special.
Yeah.
And the fact that she also shared that story with you guys, and I think that's I think I've had a lot of great experiences, not up to that, not to that magnitude, but with Chronicle Books, where me and my friends have, what is it? It's like the princesses one. Do you know which one I'm
like
talking
princess
about?
cupcakes? Which princesses?
I swore I saw it, but
what have I got here? No. Bad Girls
Throughout
History.
Oh my God, this book, guys. If you have a group of friends, girlfriends, whatever, like your crew, your tribe, like this is the best book ever. So we have like a little collective of friends, and we gave each other books like this.
That's so awesome.
For Christmas this past year, actually.
Because there's another book by the same author called Legendary Ladies.
Yes, that's the other one.
And so that was the book that came after this one.
Yeah, I love that, and I feel like a lot of the stories, similar to the one you just told, there's like some emotional connection to Chronicle in a way where it's like either I grew up with these books, or like this is something that I've done with my friends. And I never really considered myself a reader back then. I was like, it needs to be a good book to get like really enthused. And then I don't know, Chronicle has kind of opened that up for me. But
I'm so glad to hear that.
What do you guys have stories? Let's look at the chat and see who's on. So Tim, he's our avid chat moderator / amazing guru person. How are you doing, Tim? We have Huxel. Huxel, he loves flowers and he thinks the book is nice. How are you guys doing? If you guys have any questions for Christina, please let us know. and Ronnie said that was a beautiful story.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So, how would you describe like what your day-to-day is like at Chronicle, because you're spread across segments. So you're doing lifestyle, you're doing food,
art and gift.
Art, jeez. So how do all of those kind of come together, and then what are the differences in between like how you manage each editorial team?
Okay, that was a lot of questions.
Yeah, it was a lot of questions. Sorry, I had a mouthful.
So I'm going to say, okay, my day-to-day life.
Yes.
So
start there.
It has a lot of meetings because collaboration takes time.
Yes.
And it also takes sometimes working something out in person, like in a way that maybe you don't get over email, or like, you know, when an idea is building on itself. Yes. So I would say, okay, oh man, I'm trying to like, okay, what might be a good day? Okay, so I start off in the morning, maybe I have coffee with a potential author or artist, like somebody whose work I've seen out in the world, and I'm like, oh, this person is really doing interesting things. I wonder if what they're doing would translate into a Chronicle book or would make sense for that. And so maybe I reached out.
Them and
totally. Because I mean, to me, like I tell my team that they should, like you need to do what fuels you.
Right.
So what is it that's going to fuel you to make the best things, you know, that are going to surprise and delight people? Because that's what we're trying to do is like, you know, what is the thing that we can make that people didn't even know that they needed, but is like this special thing that is just like, oh my God, I got so much joy out of this book.
Right.
So maybe I would start off with a meeting with somebody from out of house, and then perhaps I would have a meeting with my team where we would, so like say it's the art publishing group, and we're talking about, what's the next, let's see here, like art book that we want to work on. So, you know, like this artist, Susan O'Malley, interviewed people around the Bay Area about what advice their 80-year-old self would give to their current self. And then she transformed their artwork into like these art pieces. So let's see here.
Be you.
Like these guys.
Nice. So you already know what you need. Be you.
And well, there's lots more.
And there's a lot of, and these are all from different artists.
They're all her art, but they're all quotes from other people.
That's awesome.
But so, say someone would be bringing that to acquisition, so we would have a conversation about it. So, like, what, you know, who do we think the market is? How big is the person's platform? All those kind of publishing decisions. And then with input, because something that's unique about Chronicle is that we invite our designers and production people into that conversation. It's like not just editors. And so, in that conversation, then we're talking about, what can we do that would make this special and unique?
Yeah. Totally.
You know, whether it's like on this book, Meanwhile in San Francisco by Wendy McNaughton. Something that we did on this book that I thought was super fun was that the jacket, first it has San Francisco at the center of the universe, but then...
I don't know how New Yorkers feel about that.
Yeah, sorry, New York.
Sorry, New York.
I'll have another book for you in a second. But then it becomes...
Oh, it's a map.
A map of San Francisco.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that.
You know, so it's sort of inventive things like that that maybe other publishers wouldn't do, and that might be some of the things that we brainstorm.
It certainly provides like extra value, but then it's just really special. It's like a hidden treasure in something you might have not expected.
And then we also at those meetings are talking about, you know, marketing updates and what publicity hits we're getting, which is great. And then this is for the New Yorkers. Like maybe we're choosing the cover of something like this book. Every Person in New York is by Jason Pollan. And so he made it his mission to draw every person literally in New York. And our concept, our guiding metaphor, if you will, for this was that it should feel like a phone book. And I think we did a pretty good job of achieving that.
The thickness, that's pretty close.
And it's all black and white throughout. And then includes, I think, 30,000 people.
30,000 people that he drew?
Yeah, right?
Oh, so what was the...
He's bonkers.
Oh my God.
In the best way, Jason, if you're listening.
No, that's incredible. How many years?
Oh, so many. I think this was maybe at least 5 years of work. He's really committed. It was amazing. In this trip to New York, I was sitting, having lunch with this artist, Adam J. Kurtz, who made, we're publishing a jar that says feelings on it.
It's a feelings jar.
So I'm sitting having lunch with him, and then Jason Pullen, who's the expert at spotting celebrities, walks by, and so then
there's so many faces.
Yes, so we get to yeah, exactly, and he's so good at recognizing A, B, C, D.
Oh my gosh.
His editor, you know, like anyways, and what was my point? Oh, but that it was just so fun that Jason was actually the celebrity that we saw. So that was my celebrity sighting of New York this trip.
That's so funny. He's like the friend that you go to a concert with, and if anyone gets lost, he will find where they are instantly. It's like
exactly.
They're over there. That's incredible.
So where was I was kind of in the middle of my day. Maybe we had like been to a publishing meeting.
Yes.
We're
met with an artist.
Choosing some covers. Like, you know, our group is looking at, we have to provide at least 3 different covers to the group so we can see. So maybe we're choosing based on, okay, which people are on the cover of this. And then what happens? Okay, I have lunch. I do like to eat lunch.
Yes.
Maybe I have lunch with a colleague. We're in San Francisco, so we eat burritos.
Oh, yeah. Love those burritos.
What happens next? In the afternoon is when we often have, we call them creatives or transmittals. So the creative meeting is when you're meeting with your team.
Okay.
And you're sorting out, like, what is the exact spec of the specification, and that means how many pages should a book have, how many images should it have, like all those kind of details. And then a transmittal meeting might be where, okay, we finished it, all the design is done, and we are just confirming, ticking all the boxes, like this is the thing we all agreed on, it's going to the printer.
Okay, cool. I think we got a question. So Tim wants to know, at which stage of the process are you thinking about the actual materials? That's a good question. And then second, like, so he's just elaborating. So like the gold foil print or the semi-transparent paper. So at what time are you thinking about that?
I'm always thinking about the materials.
That's
like,
and that's
actually
part, right?
what I love is, and I would say that's a very Chronicle Books thing to do too,
Yes.
is to like always be thinking about the materials. But with the possibility, so we start off with a vision for something, like, okay, we're gonna make some, you know, how about these?
Ooh.
Stacking stones,
Those are
right?
erasers?
These are erasers.
Oh, I
and
love those.
they're so fun. They allow you to like stack them up. But we had to do some prototyping to make sure, like the packaging was probably the hardest part of this thing. Maybe there were lots of hard parts. But so we had to think about that from the beginning. So right from the beginning, we're thinking about how could we package a set of erasers, and then
better stacked
in terms of some of the materials. So it's like a meditative act to stack these stacking stones, and then you can just like erase your worries away.
Right.
But then I would say too, in terms of the, you know, and we often are thinking about what's the, like at the beginning of the process, what's going to be the thing that's going to like make this stand out on the shelf or stand out online, and we allow ourselves some room. I mean, to that person's question, at what stage in the process are you thinking about this? So I'd say we're starting from the beginning, but then giving ourselves possibility to experiment and try new things.
Right.
Because sometimes it matters, like you want to see what it actually looks like. So for this book, Bibliophile, we very early on tried out 3 totally different cover directions. Like one had a jacket. This has this is called Weibelin, this kind of paper that's here. And then this is like another layer of paper that's printed and
for the
pasted
books.
on.
Yeah.
And then actually, this back cover, this is like a small detail, but gets to your foil question, I think, was like, we were thinking, oh yeah, it'd be cool to have foil on it. But like, we weren't sure how it was gonna work out, or maybe we should have stamping because it'll read better. And in the first mock-up of it that the printer sent, we didn't mean for it to print on this part. But when, like the foil to print.
Right, so you only wanted it on this side.
And so they sort of like made a mistake and they ran this part over when they first did it. But then we realized like, oh, actually, that's a possibility. That's pretty cool. So then why don't we make the gold?
Yeah,
like continue all the way around.
through.
That doesn't make these as separate. So I guess what I'm getting at is sometimes it's not till you're like in the process do you figure out what the solution is, but we allow ourselves the room and the possibility throughout the process for some of the finishes.
Yeah. And that's where you make, I think the tweaks and stuff, that's also the fun part, right?
Oh, my designers and production people, everyone cares so much about the details. Like this book, it has a ribbon marker. Like, of course it has a ribbon marker, you know?
It must be like I mean, there must be lots of cooks in the kitchen when it gets to that final stage, and it's like the very, very small, minor details when it comes to books. I can only imagine like what like sitting in a room is like during that time.
Totally, like we're really like you have to do both to be able to really zoom deep in on the details, but then actually also be able to zoom, because it's not like I spend all day like line editing. That is not what an editor, at least not an editor at Chronicle Books, does.
Yeah.
I don't think any editor does that really anymore.
Hope not.
But that you also, so you're zooming in on awesome details, but then you have to zoom out and be like, okay, what is the market for this? Who's the consumer? What do they want? You know, like how is this going to resonate? Where do we think it's going to sell? How are they going to find it? You know, all of those kind of questions too.
Blanca said, happy accidents. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Mel wants to know what makes for a great book cover. So I'm sure that's like a personal question for you.
I don't know. I'd ask right back to you. Who was it? Blanca?
Mel. Oh, no, that one was Mel.
Mel, what do you think makes the best book cover?
Oh, she said she's actually working on one.
Oh, she is? For a competitor?
Tell us more.
Because, I mean, that might change my answer. I think something that's eye-catching. I mean, if it were my book, say, like, that I was the author of. Or, I mean, really, like, I care deeply about all my projects. But I think, okay, cover benefits from a really great title. We pay a lot of attention to how the titles that we actually give our books. So that is like, it's part of the cover and cover design, but I just wanted to call out that that's hugely important. So that it's either evocative or explains what the project is or gets your attention or works for publicity
and you guys
to
do
kind
a
of
great
latch
job
onto. Thank you.
Uh-oh, do you see the fireworks?
Uh-oh, what does that mean?
It means it's chat and win time.
Wait, what is going to happen?
So, our lovely audience in the chat, they're just going to talk. Like, they're going to send emojis. They're going to go crazy.
What do I do while they're doing that?
We just cheer them on, and whoever gets chosen wins a prize. So today we have a Tattly tattoo kit. You guys, have you worked with Tattly before?
Hi, Tina. She just emailed me.
Oh, well, amazing. And they're actually from Brooklyn, so that's pretty awesome. So you guys know the drill. Start sending emojis, talk to each other, and we'll be right back with the winner.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, what do they get? Yes, please.
Show the winner a second. We're back. Okay, I see you guys going crazy. So just random chats. Lovely books. Like me. Tattoos. Keep going, guys. Keep chatting. Send us some emojis. Burrito emojis. Send us.
Come on.
Keep going. Go, 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 go. I feel a winner coming. Do you feel the winner coming?
I feel I'm like visualizing the winner. They're like really, they're sharing their love of books and publishing.
Yes, and
they love
apparently
making
tattoos and book covers and foil.
Yeah, foil. Good.
Foil,
I love
RGB
foil.
and CMYK. We're channeling all of the design things. You guys are almost there. I feel it. The winner and the winner. Oh, it's Mel. Mel
Awesome.
Wolverson. That's a really cool last name. Wolverson? That sounds like an important person.
And Mel, you're the one who's working on a book, right?
I think that is the same Mel. Mel, you did such a good job. Congratulations. You won a Tattly tattoo kit, and you need to tell us more about your book, too. Congratulations. So, yeah, should we revisit that question for Mel?
Talk to me.
Mel was asking about
what makes a good book cover.
Yeah, that's so crazy that she won, too.
I know, Mel, it's your day.
I know. She's hot right now.
I think your book cover is going to be amazing, Mel.
Yeah.
I just wanted to tell you that. But I would say, let's see, what makes it has to be readable.
Yes.
And I mean, the truth is a lot of things sell online now. So it has to be to really read online in terms of what the image is or what it is that you're trying, or that you have great photography of it.
Yeah.
So whatever direction you choose, you want to make sure that it's like, it's just how the world is right now, but is like, you know, you got to make sure that it works at this big. So that when people are scrolling on their phone, they're like, oh, cool, I want that book. I, of course, am a fan of special finishes of like the foil or a spot gloss or something that makes your cover and your book feel special, because as the world gets more digital, I think one of the reasons why Chronicle Books is successful is because we really celebrate the analog. Like, we create the alchemy of the object in what we do. And so you want your cover to have that feeling too, that like, oh, this is special and it only can exist in book. You know, it's like I need to hold it and to have it.
It's funny because I was having a conversation with somebody not too long ago, and we were like, remember when they said print was dead? Who said that? Who started that?
Oh man, it was so intense. It was like 5 years ago when everyone was like, ebooks are gonna crush everything, it's over. And meanwhile, it was kind of nice to be on the West Coast, away from like the big 5 publishers are all here in New York, and where it was like there was a lot of doom and gloom happening about ebooks and how print is dead. But then it turned like Chronicle was having its best years ever, like, and we keep having great years, and so it's, I think, to me, a celebration of like, no, people still like printed things. It's kind of a technology that's been around for a while, and I think people like it. So what is it? You know, anyway, it's just a matter of how we keep it new.
That's true. I think the physical book satisfies more senses. Like, you have the look and feel, you have the touch, you have more of a connection to the physical product versus, like, for me, I could never do an ebook. I get headaches, like it just doesn't feel like natural, like going through an ebook, or even when the Nooks and stuff were super popular at that time, and they're like, everyone's gonna be reading from a Kindle and blah blah, and I just was not into it. And I think I noticed that Chronicle was just kind of like, whatever, we're not listening
keep
to
doing
anything
our rad
you're
thing,
saying, and we're gonna keep doing us and just doing books the way we do them in fun, really interesting ways. So that was a really weird time, but it's crazy how no one says that anymore. Yeah,
it's true. It was it was a phase where everybody needed to say that a lot, but then luckily we've moved through that. So
Mel has she's given us some more information. So she's doing a children's book, so lots of bright color.
I think that's a good way to go, Mel. Lots of bright color is, I feel like, what children's book buyers want.
Yes.
And having kids myself, like, they love that.
Oh my gosh, there's a lot of questions now. Yes, print will never die. I think we've all made that clear at this point. No one's taking away print.
Chatty people.
It's not gonna happen. We have maybe 8 more minutes. So if you guys have any questions, let us know. But in the meantime, I have a question for you.
Talk to me.
What has been a project where it was kind of in the realm of a happy accident, or maybe when you were producing it, it wasn't quite the original ideation, but then when it was completed, it was like, oh wow, like this is completely different from what it was supposed to be, but it was amazing, you know?
The one that I'm thinking of right now, and it's happened more than once, where you want to start with a vision that's a clear vision, and then you strive toward it. And sometimes life doesn't happen as you plan, or you discover something in the process where you're like, oh, I thought this was the answer, but maybe actually over here is a little there. Or this thing that I wanted to do isn't possible, or the author's not on board with it, or like the material's not going to work in that same way.
Right.
So the one that I'm thinking of is this project called Bright Ideas. So it came out of a brainstorm that my teammates and I were having, and I just wanted to make something that used the words red hot ideas. And at first it was going to be a package of pencils.
Okay.
That were I think it was supposed to look like a matchbox, and then the pencils were all supposed to say red hot ideas.
Oh, cute.
But then
like
we were
matches.
like, okay, I'm not sure about that. And then basically we kept going, and then I came up with a list of all these other colors. And so what do we got here? It's like red hot ideas, blazing breakthroughs, rosy outlooks, and each of those matches the pages. So we have like blue sky brainstorms and evergreen inventions.
Oh, you should show the people.
Should I show you?
Yeah, show them.
Well, they're blank pages, but it's on if you zoom in on that you can
evergreen
see.
Inspiration.
Evergreen inspirations, freshly minted inventions.
I love that color.
And sunny thoughts.
Sunny thoughts.
So, and then we, just sort of like how it unfolds a little differently. So it originally had a spine, but then we thought it was going to be way too expensive for it to have
For the binding.
for the binding. Or that like secretly the production person and I were like, oh, I just really want it. It would be so cool to like see it from the side. And so
Interesting.
on a lark, she and I were like, okay, I know it's going to be way too expensive to do this exposed binding, but let's just order it from the printer because that's what we want for ourselves. Like we just want it for ourselves, not for the
just
world.
Production.
But
Okay.
then it turned out it was actually not that much more expensive on this particular project. So we were like, that is the answer because it like makes the difference to be able to see the whole project. And then I think there was, when we originally had it, it didn't have this J wrap. It was, I think, just Bright Ideas.
Okay.
No, sorry, it was like this. And sales was like, no, that's pretty bland.
Okay.
You guys need to figure something out. So that was also
I see the feedback.
okay, how can we create something that continues the joy of all the colors, but doesn't take away from the like cool package of this?
Cool.
So then we came up with this idea. And then from there, that led to a whole bunch more of Bright Ideas. So we did Bright Ideas pencils.
Nice. So you
And then
came back to the pencils.
We were like, okay, I came back, but this time instead of them all being red hot ideas, they were all the different colors. And the first package was graphite.
Okay, cool.
But then just at that moment was 2015 was like the coloring book. What's the word? Apotheosis. It was like the climax of all
like for
coloring
adult coloring books.
That was like it was all of a sudden like the whole world was coloring.
Yeah.
And so we were like, oh, you know what we'll do? We'll take our Bright Ideas pencils, and now we'll make them colored pencils. And then we'll do metallic pencils, and then we'll do neon
I love
pencils.
the innovation.
And so
It
we
just
did,
kept going,
and then we
going.
just made, we just came out with Bright Ideas dominoes, games, so that we could kind of continue this idiom and brand that we just came up with ourselves.
Yeah.
And so it was, I think, an example of how you might start with one idea, and then it changes course, and then it builds.
Completely. We have time for one question from the chat. So Ronnie wants to know, and also Tim mentioned this also. So when you're creating mock-ups, essentially, when you're doing these ideas, and are they virtual ones, or are they physical prototypes, or is it both?
Both.
Okay.
Sometimes we create them virtually first, or it depends on how somebody can best express their idea. And I actually think, for me, seeing something in 3D, even if it's super crude, even if it's made by me, who's an editor, not a production person or a designer, helps me understand what it is and also helps other people. Like, even though I work with the most visual and creative people, still having a physical object to share allows us to it's like the power of prototyping. It allows us to see what's working or what's not working, because what we're making are physical things. So we need to see it in its 3D life. Or even if it's like a book cover, still, how is the foil actually going to look on that
How is
book
it
cover?
popping through? How is the design really showing for us? I can't believe that went by so quickly.
That was so quick. Oh, hi.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us again. It's been an awesome 99-year experience here with Christina, and I think that's a wrap.
All right.
You killed it.
Thanks, team.
You guys have a good one.
Bye.
See ya.